Hi, if you want to watch exclusive content with hot girls that you won't watch on YouTube, namely where Naruto roasts Kushina and Mikoto and many other hot girls without restrictions, then visit my Boosty channel at the link in the description.
And the nine-tailed demon fox came, and every swing of its tail crushed mountains and raised tsunamis. And brave shinobi fought it, until one of them imprisoned it at the cost of his own life. God of Death, the beginning. For what? Oh God, why did you leave me? Forgive me, but his time is up. Although, why am I telling you this? You don't hear me anyway. It's probably a habit of a soul guide. Now, everything will go back to normal, curses in my direction, but I'm already cursed. Damn you, death. Day after day, year after year, century after century. Every day, I hear these words. Maybe it's true. Over the thousands of years, I've already forgotten. Was I a man? Did I ever really live? Sorry. I want to live, I haven't had time to do so much, please, bring me back. The cries of the soul, if you all knew how I would like it, how I would like. Just a few seconds. No one is as lonely as death. No one experiences more pain than death. Souls can be reborn, get rid of pain, but death never. This is a strange voice, it calls me, so sad, it is waiting for my help, offering its soul in exchange. It does not blame death, it only regrets that it cannot be with its soulmate, will not see how its son grows, how its beloved village prospers, for which it dooms itself to eternity. Another voice, now it is a woman, their souls are connected by a strong thread, she will also die soon, she is ready for eternal torment and pain, if only he were near. No one experiences more pain than death, and now, their souls have become a part of me, souls doomed to eternal suffering. Rarely does anyone dare to do this, to become one with me. A lonely cry. The cry of a child, forever abandoned by parents who left behind a heavy burden, full of pain, hatred, and loneliness. Is this the end? Yes? Asked a tall blonde man with sad blue eyes. I nodded, no one can stay the same for long after a deal with the god of death. Soon, you will become a part of me, and how long you will last depends only on you, but no one has yet been able to cope with this pain and not go mad. If I manage, will I be able to watch my son? Yes, you will become my part, the god of death is omniscient, he sees everything that happens in this world. And now, your time is up, get ready. Minato. Wait. Yes. I was right, she would do anything to be near him. Please don't separate us, I want to be with my husband forever. Are you ready to feel the pain of the whole world forever? All the hatred, the anger of dying people? Are you ready to go mad? Yes. Just to be near him. Well, welcome to death. It's so sad. I hate wars, I hate when people kill each other, I hate death. I hate myself. God of Death, the end. Naruto, 3 years. Mom. Look what I drew. This is the sun, this is a cloud, here are some trees. A 4-year-old boy ran up to his beloved mother, and quickly began to wave a piece of paper in front of her face and poke his finger at it. His hands, of course, got dirty with paint, since it had not had time to dry. The mother looked at her child with a smile full of love and care. Mom. Look what I drew. Said a small blond boy with beautiful blue eyes the color of the sky, waving a sheet of paper. There was no one in front of him. But there was a cheerful smile on his face, and it was getting wider with each passing second. And do you like it, Dad? The kid asked another question, and a little later he began to happily run around the playground waving a piece of paper. Noticing little Naruto, the children's parents behaved strangely, taking the children by the hand, and walked away from him. But he didn't care, he was happy. Naruto is 6 years old. My mother has beautiful long red hair, this is the color of her clan. Once, one of the strongest clans in the world. They used seal techniques better than anyone. I love her very much, as well as my dad, who I look a lot like. I, like him, have the same yellow hair and blue eyes, and my dad is the strongest in the shinobi world. And I want to become a ninja like him. Naruto finished his story. All the children looked at the cheerful blonde. But there was no spark of interest in their eyes when other children talked about their families. This is a demon talking, How can a demon have parents? At least, they have never seen them. That's not true. One of the listeners jumped up, pointed his finger at Naruto, and continued. You don't have any parents. My mother told me that you are bad because you don't have parents, and you are a demon. He finished. The other children also jumped up and started pointing at him and teasing him. Liar. Demon. We don't want to talk to you. Liars like you are not accepted into the shinobi. The children shouted in unison, their cries overlapping each other, creating a noise. Your dad died. Naruto said unexpectedly to everyone, pointing his finger at the boy who had started teasing him first. There was a state of sadness in his eyes. Shut up. My dad is the strongest shinobi in the world. He will never die. He will come back from a mission today, and we will go eat ice cream with him. Liar. 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 The boy screamed, tears running down his cheeks. Naruto's eyes were just as sad. Sorry, but he won't come. The children were looking at the sky-colored eyes, full of pain and longing. It seemed that they did not belong to our world. Goosebumps ran down the children's backs. This strange Naruto. All the children looked at Naruto reproachfully. Not only was he a liar, but he had also offended their friend. The teacher's gaze was no different from the gaze of his students. It was because of this child that his parents died. He hated him. Hatred. He doesn't understand that Naruto is innocent. It was all a setup. The silhouette of the shinobi who came to look at his son, at his eyes, slowly dissolves next to me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I demand that his mind be examined. There is no way he could have known about Isami's death, even we didn't know anything. Hiruzen, you must not interfere. We are obliged to take care of the safety of the village. An elderly shinobi with a bandaged right eye stood in the Hokage's office and demanded that the jinchuriki of the village be examined. It was none other than Shimura Danzo, the head of the Rudambu. The man who protects the peace of the village hidden in the leaves, but who could protect the village from his influence. Next to him stood Hamura and Koharu, the elders of the village. My friend, why such desperate measures? You can just talk to Naruto. If you find the right approach, he will tell you everything. The Sandaime spoke in a calm tone, as if nothing had happened. Raven. The Hokage shouted, and, falling back on the chair, looked at the man in the raven mask who had just appeared in front of them. Ask to bring Naruto, but be careful, don't scare the boy. At Hiruzen's words, Danzo only chuckled and looked at the elders in turn. Their eyes met, they understood him. Soon someone knocked on the office door, and a few seconds later a tall, slender blonde entered the office. Naruto was smiling behind her, but his smile was slightly sad. Naruto, sit down. The Hokage said, pointing to the empty seat, and looking at his secretary, told her that she could go. Danzo smirked again. It seemed that Sarutobi had changed his secretary again, as he remembered, the last time there was a brunette, with a beautiful voice. Naruto, tell us what happened today? We're very interested. Naruto. It's such a strange feeling, I haven't noticed it before. Today we were supposed to talk about our families. I started telling how much I love my mom and dad, and how good they are. Everyone in the room looked at Naruto in surprise. Danzo and the elders looked a little worried. Naruto, stop, don't. You can't hear me. Please tell me more about your parents. The Hokage asked him. Naruto's eyes brightened a little. The Hokage himself asks him to tell about his parents. He will prove to everyone that his parents are real. He's looking at me. Naruto, what do you see? Death or? My mother has beautiful long red hair. This is the hair color of the Uzumaki clan, which was known for its skillful knowledge of sealing techniques. I bear my mother's last name. And I am very proud of it. My father, the strongest shinobi in the world, I look a lot like him, with blue eyes and yellow hair. I love my parents very much. The little blonde finished proudly and looked around. The elders and Danzo's concern was replaced by rage. They looked angrily at Sarutobi, and he only smirked. Who told him that he was the son of the fourth? Who is this traitor? It seemed that Danzo was about to catch fire. Hamura and Koharu were standing nearby with the same expressions. My dad is the fourth Hokage? The hero of the village? But he died defeating the fox? Naruto's gaze darted around the room, at the Hokage, at the elders, at Danzo, who realized his mistake. He looks at me, he wants to say something. Naruto. Mom, is it true that neither you nor Dad are here? The boy's face was full of despair. How is it that the parents he sees every day, who are always there, they take care of him, tell him that they love him, teach him, aren't real? I can't understand what's happening to me. Naruto, we will always be with you. Dad and I love you more than anything in the world. Even though we died in reality, our souls will never leave you. Did I say that? But how? I didn't want to say that. Minato. Kushina. You were able to do it, right? Not dissolve in this madness, and keep your personalities. Naruto, your parents died 6 years ago. Having protected the village at the cost of your life, you should be proud of them. The third Hokage wanted to calm down little Uzumaki, but he did not listen to him. Naruto looked at the closest person to him, whom no one had seen. I am Uzumaki Naruto, I am 6 years old, and now I know the truth about my parents. My parents were always there for me when I cried, when I laughed, when I was in pain, although I am almost always in pain. It is not the body that hurts, there is not a single wound on it, it is the soul that hurts. And it was always like that, until I saw her. Only a few days had passed since that conversation. Naruto sat on the Hokage rock, hugging his knees and crying. He was wearing black shorts and a t-shirt of the same color with a white, incomprehensible picture on the chest. Somewhere nearby, the Rudambu, assigned by Danzo to make sure the village's weapons didn't do anything, were watching him. It seemed strange that Danzo was afraid. Yes, he had been stupid, he immediately admitted it. No matter how much he denied it to Hiruzen and the elders, in himself, he admitted his guilt. Even though Shimura looked like the most cold-blooded shinobi, somewhere inside, behind the walls, about 30 kilometers wide, his conscience lay in a deep coma, trying to come to its senses, and next to it stood the desire for power, and when she tried to escape, it hit her on the head with a large frying pan, sending her on a journey to nirvana again. Danzo tried to solve the problem that arose because of his irascibility. Erase the boy's memory, but who needs a weapon, a vegetable? Jinchuriki, a tomato. The head of the root imagined this strange picture, the nine-tailed demon fox a la tomato, looking with hateful eyes, and around a sea of ketchup. A grin, no. A smile appeared on his face. Some shinobi, who became involuntary witnesses of this spectacle, hurried to the Hokage. Well, Danzo can't smile just like that, he must be playing a dirty trick. Running to the residence, they told everyone they met what they saw, they in turn told their friends, and so on. Until the information returned to the original source, and he was horrified at how he could miss so many important things. Yes, they gave the Hokage a job, nothing to say. Not only did they tell the fox's carrier about his parents, which was absolutely forbidden, well, at least now. And almost every minute puzzled shinobi came, telling about Shimura's insidious smile. Everyone understood this smile in their own way, and soon this story was overgrown with such details that Hiruzen would have died laughing if his assistant had not announced that he was not allowed, and on issues concerning Danzo, let them write a written report. In the meantime, Hiruzen was thinking about what to do now with the heir of the fourth. And after much thought, he decided that he needed to find a guardian for him, just in case something happened. Then his gaze fell on one very interesting book, the great work of his student. That's it, it's decided, tomorrow the secretary will be red-haired. I don't know why, but I feel sad. Over the years, I have become aware of myself again. I am death. The entity that everyone hates. I still can't understand what happened. My mind is in a fog. But I feel, there is someone I want to protect. Blue eyes, yellow hair, small arms, legs. And a soul so dear. The anchors will soon sink to the bottom, if the chains that bind them to the ship are not strengthened. It started raining, it seemed like Naruto sat on the monument to the previous Hokage for an eternity. All day long Uzumaki thought about himself, his parents, the village, the elders and, of course, about those strange things that he sees, but does not consider strange. Raindrops fell on Naruto's head, flowed down his cheeks, dripped in small drops from the tips of his hair. The t-shirt and shorts were completely wet. The little Jinchuriki was shaking, he was cold, scared, in pain. Someone was next to him, he felt it. The stranger stood next to him, gently hugging his shoulders, warm, so familiar. Naruto, you probably won't see your parents anytime soon. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I have to say this. Time will pass, you'll go to the academy, become a genin, go on missions, find friends. And someday you'll see your parents again. But for now, I'm sorry, their chakra in the seal is almost gone, and if you don't hurry, you'll lose the only chance you have of meeting them in the future. For now, goodbye. I hear. Naruto was also sitting on the Hokage monument, soaking wet, under the supervision of the Umbu. Sad, having experienced loneliness. And only one desire kept that fire in him, passed on by his parents, he would do anything to see them at least once. I love the rain, you can't see tears in the rain. It must be strange to look at a 6-year-old child sitting alone on a monument, a child with adult eyes and a very sad look. Is it strange or not? The girl who stands in front of me. Beautiful black hair, light violet eyes. She is beautiful, in her sad beauty. Who are you? But she didn't answer me, looking into my eyes, the girl dissolved into thin air. I understood that it was just a ghost, an illusion caused by my consciousness, but my inner voice screamed at me, she is alive, and I have to find her. A year has passed. Night. A fog was falling on the village hidden in the foliage. A rare phenomenon for these places, but it happens. A man in a raven mask was standing on one of the village buildings. It was none other than Uchiha Itachi, who had received his final mission as a shinobi of Konoha. Naruto, as always, sat on the Hokage monument, on his father's head. A year had passed since he learned the truth about himself. He, Uzumaki Naruto, was the son of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, the hero of the village, but no one should know about it. Naruto did not mind the fog, because he loved it. Pleasant humidity, on such days he often saw her. Over the past year, this was repeated only 6 times. And during 4 meetings there was fog. Naruto did not know her name, nor her surname, only her image in his memory, so often emerging in his dreams. Over the year, she grew a little, her hair became longer, now it fell just below her shoulder blades. One of the strands covered her left eye, and it was not visible. The girl was even sadder than before. With each new meeting, she became clearer, and Naruto blossomed. At our last meeting I was able to touch her. I was very happy. Her hands, so cold, but at the same time such warmth emanated from them, warming my soul. This time I would be able to talk to her. The fog was getting thicker, my face was already damp, I was shivering a little. I counted the minutes. A little more, she would definitely appear. I didn't understand what had happened. But suddenly I felt a lot of pain. Hatred. Anger. Despair. These feelings floated through my head over and over again. It seemed that in another moment it would burst. People floated before my eyes, black hair, eyes, in some of them the red tamo of the Sharingan burned, undoubtedly these were people of the Uchiha clan. I felt my neck and heart hurt, I felt sharp blades piercing my body. I felt like I was burning. Some strange black energy was gathering around my stomach, the energy of many lives. The silhouettes of the Uchihas dissolved in the night, causing me more and more pain. My eyes began to burn terribly, it seemed as if some unseen force was trying to tear them out. All the space around me began to fade, drowning in a reddish haze. Some strange noise, the ringing of bells? No, in front of me, 2 long thin chains jingled, as if they were woven from thin air. Black energy slowly crawled along them, and was absorbed by them. My head, clutching it, I looked at the blood-red moon. Naruto grabbed his head with his hands and looked at the moon. Apart from it, there was not a single star in the sky. Only black clouds floated somewhere in the distance. A heartbreaking scream rang out in the night, it seemed that the souls of people who died today were screaming. Naruto's body began to be covered with red, poisonous chakra. It foamed, flowed out of every pore. Fangs began to grow at an incredible speed, a beastly grin appeared on his face. Nails lengthened, sharpened, becoming beastly. The moon was reflected in his eyes, full of pain and despair. The eyes began to change, the pupil ceased to be sky blue, it gradually began to darken, soon becoming blood red. There was no trace left of the usual human pupil. Naruto looked at the world through the eyes of a beast. Another scream rang out in the night. This time it was Naruto. Something in this scream was human, but you could also clearly hear an animal growl in it. The animal eyes looked at the moon, barely noticeable waves went through them. The more chakra covered Naruto's body, the stronger the ripples in his eyes became. Uzumaki took a deep breath through his nose, a barely noticeable smile appeared on his face behind the animal grin. Suddenly, he got up from his place, and quickly ran towards the Uchiha clan's area. It was difficult to recognize a person in the dark silhouette, it seemed like an animal chasing its prey. Silently, Naruto jumped from roof to roof, approaching his goal. There was some kind of barrier in front of him, he clearly saw this strange glow. Putting his hand forward, Naruto hit it with his claws, they passed right through, as if through water. Another moment and Uzumaki was behind him. As soon as he passed through him, the night was no longer so calm, screams were heard from all sides, the smell of blood hung in the air. Everything around was soaked in blood, the air, the ground. In the distance, I could hear people screaming, and many silhouettes of Uchiha were floating next to me. I had already gotten used to the pain, although my eyes were still burning. But one thought was haunting me, I have to stop this. It's not clear where it came from, but I know I can do it. People are around, they are suffering. Corpses of people, a father covers his daughters with his body, but it didn't help, in his chest opposite his heart, and next to him lies the head of his little daughter. I can't look at it. On one of the buildings, against the backdrop of the night sky, there were 4 people in masks. I can smell the blood on their hands, they don't regret what they did, I feel it. Pain, sadness, loneliness, all these feelings echoed in every cell of my brain. I hate them, I hate murder, I hate it when people suffer, I hate it. Behind my back, I saw ghostly tales that weren't there in reality. Each tale was pulsating with a strange energy. I listened, heartbeats, calm, slow sounds. I felt them. Having made a dash, I was already on top of the building. This cold look, without feelings, there was no fear, no contempt, nothing in it. The tales behind my back were thrashing around at a furious speed. 4 shinobi prepared to attack. The tails began to lengthen, biting into the bodies of 4 shinobi. I realized from their faces that they did not feel pain, there were no wounds on their bodies. I looked at them, something was wrong, something appeared in their eyes, interest? I looked closely, energy was pulsating in their bodies, right at the level of the heart. The tails, rushing towards it, clung as if to the last hope. The shinobi's eyes widened in surprise, death itself danced in them. A few seconds later, the shinobi's bodies became haggard and fell lifelessly onto the smooth tiles. And the tails, neatly wrapped, held red-black glowing balls. I looked at them distantly, they seemed something vile, incomprehensible, but at the same time something sacred. The red chakra above me took the form of a fox's mouth, and these balls disappeared into its depths. The veil gradually faded, the eyes became sky blue again. A small boy lay unconscious on the roof, and next to him were 4 lifeless bodies. Have you heard? The Uchiha clan was completely wiped out in one night, no one was left alive. They say it was a demon going wild. I'm afraid that what happened 7 years ago will happen again. What about our children? They go to the academy with him. We need to isolate him. But the Hokage says it wasn't him. Of course, not a demon. PFF. He just wants to calm us down. For our safety, we must get rid of him. All day long, the villagers talked to each other about the events that had happened. About the destruction of the Uchiha clan. How could Konoha's strongest clan be destroyed in one night? People were perplexed, some said that a demon had done it. Someone mentioned that he had been found unconscious at the crime scene. They didn't say his name, they called him by his usual nickname, but everyone had long since gotten used to it. Uzumaki Naruto, demon of the village hidden in the leaves. Naruto woke up with a terrible headache. Some wires, white walls, the smell of medicine. His eyes hurt terribly, as if they had been torn out and then put back in. He tried to get up, but he couldn't, the ropes holding him in a lying position were in the way. Hey! Is anyone there? he shouted. The sound of shuffling footsteps could be heard. An elderly woman entered the room and, looking at Naruto, she asked, "What do you want? People are resting, and you're making noise here." There was some strange intonation in her voice. Anger? No, it was something else, although there was anger here too. The fourth son didn't understand where it came from in her voice. Yes, the villagers were always rude to him, but there were his parents nearby who supported him. Parents. Naruto remembered his dad, his mom, remembered that he wouldn't see them for a long time, and would he see them at all? He went into his thoughts, not noticing what she was saying to him. She came closer to him and swung, hitting Naruto on the cheek. He comes out of his thoughts and looks at her with lost eyes. Murderer. There were women, children, my friends were there. Tears ran down her face. She was angry at Naruto, but for good reason? Naruto did not understand why she hit him, what she was telling him, but he saw one thing for sure: sadness, compassion and remorse. He closed his eyes again, remembering his father, mother, and her. Lately, her image did not leave the blonde's head. As if she were a cure for his pain. He did not know her name, did not know who she was, why such an unclear warmth emanated from her. Who is she? These are the questions that were now spinning in the head of a young, but already tormented by life boy. The woman, looking at the blonde, said something again, but he did not hear or listen to her. Now another, velvety and gentle, such a familiar voice was spinning in his head. He did not understand the words, but he knew for sure, it was her. It was her. But, who is she? There was a sound of a door slamming. 3 people entered Naruto's room, the Hokage, Danzo, and a man in a bear mask, an ANBU. Has Naruto regained consciousness yet? Great, how is he feeling? Hiruzen asked, with a smile on his face. Danzo stood next to him, frowning. Something had changed in him, his right arm was hidden in his clothes. It seemed like it was broken. Naruto was also chained to the bed. Old Hokage. Why am I in the hospital? And why am I tied up? The younger blonde asked and looked at the village head in bewilderment. The smirk on Danzo's face became even more noticeable. Sarutobi was silent. He couldn't tell Naruto that he was found in the place where he was. It was not supposed to be. Well? Fidget. You better tell me where you got hurt like that? Sandaime tried to change the subject. And in vain. What can you do? Old age is no joy. As they say, a monkey's eyes become weak in old age. And not only in the eyes, Alzheimer's has probably set in, the brain is drying up, memory is suffering, as well as attention. That is, I was sitting on the Hokage rock, on Daddy's head. The eyes of everyone present sparkled, though, the bear's eyes were not there, and what can you see when the face is hidden behind masks? The poor old woman was perplexed. Danzo seemed to be about to suffocate. Hiruzen looked at her with an expression of, "Who are you, goodbye?" But then he remembered that this was one of the medical staff at the hospital. Wait, had she heard about Naruto's father? The woman from the hospital beginning. It seems I heard something I shouldn't have. What Hokage could be his father? It seemed that with understanding came the realization of my own stupidity. Of course, the fourth. How could I not guess, but he didn't seem to have children. Wait. Naruto seems to have a birthday, just on the day of the fox's attack. On this day, he gets the most from the crowd. The fourth, if he is your son, why did you subject him to such torment? But what if he is no longer his son, but a demon? But I can see from his eyes that he loves his dad very much. It seemed that in these moments, I was living through all the moments of the last 7 years when I saw this child. I thought it was strange. Even then, at the hospital, all the staff did was blame the newborn child for all the troubles. Superstition, nothing more. And those stripes on his face? So similar to a fox's whiskers, pressing so painfully on the heart. Later, no matter what happened, they blamed him for everything. A man fell ill, it was the fox that looked at him. A man died in his sleep, it was also him. That's how superstitions are born. Fourth, forgive us, what have we done with your legacy? The woman from the hospital is the end. How are you? Hiruzen asked, lightly clapping the woman on the shoulder. She was shaking, beads of sweat appeared on her face. At that moment, she seemed so old. But why? Why does no one know that he is the son of the hero of Konoha? Why does everyone blame him for all the troubles? What did he do? Was he born during the attack? Became a vessel for a demon? He is the hero of the village, just like his father. Nothing could hold back her impulses. She had to tell this child everything. Danzo's face looked painful. What kind of day is this? This crazy lady found out that Lise is the son of the fourth, just told that it contains a demon, and God forbid she will tell the whole village, and we will propagandize this throughout Konoha. What are these ANBU soldiers made of? Or are they guarding the Hokage under something? Uzumaki Naruto beginning. Today I learned that I have a nine-tailed fox demon sealed inside me, but that doesn't matter. That woman let it slip. What a face she had. Misunderstanding, fear, compassion and pain from mental anguish. The image of that girl just wouldn't leave my head. Black hair and violet eyes, who are you? The next day I was discharged from the hospital. True, I won't be alone now, some shinobi will be looking after me. I wouldn't have gone home alone, they simply wouldn't let me go. All I could do was wait for my escort, who was already an hour and a half late. And so, an hour 42 minutes and 16 seconds later, he arrived. Ash blonde, hair sticking up at an angle to the left. Half of his face was covered by a dark blue mask, the forehead protector hung diagonally, covering his left eye. Neither his mouth, nor his nose, nor his chin were visible. In his right eye, the only open spot on his face, there was no contempt or hatred. He was wearing the standard Konoha Jonin uniform, a black jacket with the sleeves rolled up halfway up his forearm. Pants the same color as the jacket. Over the jacket, he wore a green Konoha vest. You can't tell what he's like by his appearance, though his eyes, well, his eyes, look kind. Naruto, my name is Hatake Kakashi. From this day on, I am officially your guardian. First, we will go to your house to pack our things, and then we can drop by somewhere. His voice seemed cheerful, but the thing is, it seemed like somewhere deep down there was a huge sadness, pain, guilt. I saw it in him, just like I saw people dying. A breath of wind next to me, a connection of souls from heart to heart. I walked up to him and hugged him. It's okay, you're not guilty of anything. You have to let them go, because they will always be in your heart. I didn't recognize my words. Everything I wanted was said in a voice that wasn't mine. It happens to me often. Before my eyes was a beautiful girl who smiled warmly at me. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Hatake Kakashi has begun. Today the third one called me to his office, he will probably send me on a mission again. I arrived late as always. Is this becoming a habit for me? Or is this my way of expressing myself? The Hokage, as always, reminded me that it is not good to be late. His voice was calm, but my honed hearing caught barely noticeable notes of irritation. For a moment I felt alive. Before the conversation could even begin, an Umbu in a bear mask flew in through the window. Hokage-sama, the body of Uchiha Itachi was found on the border of the Land of Fire. The cause of death was suicide. Report from Umbu to the head of the village, it was so recently. Itachi, I remember this boy, who loved two things more than anything in the world, the village and his brother. Why he slaughtered the entire clan remains a mystery to me, but I have some guesses. After the massacre, his younger brother survived Uchiha Sasuke, who did not live even a few hours. This morning, I was one of those who found his body and suicide note. Poor child, who lost everything in one moment, who could not hold out alone. Sarutobi said something to me, but I no longer listened to him, remembering the most important Uchiha in my life, my first friend, who was only a few days old. The old man coughed, the tension was growing. Yes, Hokage-sama? Kakashi, I convinced the elders to grant your request. From today on, you are Naruto's official guardian. I understand that you were refused before, but because of what happened, he can no longer live alone. I think that one day he will not be able to bear it and will break down. You have heard what is happening in Suna, right? It seemed that my head was about to burst from the abundance of thoughts. Somehow I felt unwell. I remembered all those rumors, the demon who slaughtered the Uchiha clan. A child who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The son of a teacher who does not know about his heritage. A lonely child who can break down. When the third said that Naruto might not be able to bear it, I did not immediately think of a bloodthirsty monster who would terrorize the inhabitants. For some reason I remembered Itachi's brother, who put an end to loneliness. Hokage-sama, will he live with me at my place, or should I move to the apartment next door where I know your observer lives? Kakashi, neither one nor the other, you will live in Minato's house. After all, this property should belong to Naruto, if not for the elders. Even so, did they and Danzo really decide to reveal the truth to the weapon of the village? The Hokage's words surprised me, so I asked this question. So Naruto knows who his parents are, and what does Danzo tell him about it? But here I was shocked. As a person who took all measures to ensure that information about Naruto's origins did not leak to the masses, he himself tells him? I would never have believed it if it had not been the Hokage who said it. Hokage-sama, I am interested in the answer to one question. I remember that the teacher had several bank accounts in addition to his home, which somehow magically disappeared somewhere. What will happen to them? I see how you winced, respected third. Did you really have a hand in the fourth's money? But then why do you see pity and guilt in your eyes? The money. I'll try to do something. Most of it was taken by the elders and Danzo, for the good of the village. By the way, Naruto's apartment was bought with them, that's the only thing I could do. Kakashi, I'm already old, I can't go against the elders. It took me a lot of effort not to let Danzo influence Naruto, and he wanted to raise him in root, and Komura and Koharu supported him. Recently, a nurse from the hospital found out about Naruto's heritage, and we are not sure that she will not spread about it. And what will happen next, you already know. With the right propaganda you can achieve that the money will return to Minato's son. After the meeting, I immediately went to the teacher's house. A small cozy two-story house, not as big as the residences of the heads of clans, such as the Uchiha and Hyuga, but quite acceptable for living. There was an untouched thick layer of dust everywhere. Apparently after death, rarely anyone was here. Although the mansion's defenses were high, it wasn't for nothing that Kushina was from the Uzumaki clan. As I remembered, the library was in the basement, but alas, there was nothing left there. I'll have to ask the Hokage. Having created 2 shadow clones and ordered them to clean up, I went to my place to pack my things. I was supposed to pick up Naruto from the hospital an hour and a half ago, but I couldn't bring him to a dirty house. Naruto, my name is Hatake Kakashi. From this day on, I am officially your guardian. First, we will go to your house to pack our things, and then we can drop by somewhere. I tried to say it more friendly. Suddenly, Naruto came up to me and hugged me. I didn't understand what had happened. There were rumors about his strangeness, but not like this. It's okay, it's not your fault. You have to let them go, because they will always be in your heart. How did he know? His heavenly eyes were covered with a grayish haze, reflecting sadness, but after a few seconds everything disappeared, and only a warm glow illuminated my soul. It seemed that Rin and Obito were reflected in his eyes. My soul felt lighter. I wanted to take off my mask and catch the sun's rays with my face. Thank you, such a strange Naruto. Hatake Kakashi is finished. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. A week has passed since the incident, and I can finally return to the academy. Kakashi-san has been cheerful lately, and he has become less late. Tomorrow will be one of the most important days in my life. The day when my personal training begins. Yesterday, a very funny incident happened, which I did not forget to remind my guardian about today. May the power of youth be with us. It is not for nothing that you are my eternal rival Kakashi, but I will not lose to you in this competition. I will take custody of 3 orphans. I tried to copy the voice of this scary man with huge eyebrows and in a green tight suit. Kakashi winced, and I laughed again. The week that I spent in the new house, I explored my new place of residence. This is my parents' mansion. I found a lot of photos, my parents together, childhood photos, photos of dad with his students. Kakashi-san is so funny in them. There were photos of dad and his teacher. My guardian says that this man is a great shinobi, one of the legendary trio. And also a great writer. That same day, I tried to look for some of his books in the house, but Kakashi-san put them somewhere. Why would that be? All that was left was The Tale of the Fearless Shinobi. My name was the same as the main character. Now I knew that I was named after him, and not after ramen, although I have nothing against the latter. When I came to the academy, people looked at me strangely, children whispered about something, only Nara Shikamaru was sleeping on the back bench, not paying attention to anyone. Then Yamanaka Ino came up to me and asked a question. Naruto, is it true that you are the son of the fourth Hokage? Suddenly the whispering around stopped, everyone was looking at me in anticipation of an answer, well almost everyone, Nara was still sleeping. I nodded uncertainly. Adoration lit up in the eyes of some of the girls. Distrust and resentment in the eyes of others. Who do you believe? He's lying as always, Sensei told us a month ago that the fourth Hokage had no children. I heard a boy's voice behind me, I turned around and froze. I hadn't seen this boy before, or maybe I just hadn't looked at him closely. I was struck by everything, his appearance, his eyes, everything about him spoke of that nameless girl from my dreams, whom I simply had to find. Who are you? I could only say those two words. I didn't care that Iruka-sensei had just entered the classroom, that the adoring expression in some people's eyes had turned to disdain. Hyuga-you, heir to the main branch of the Hyuga clan. Don't look at me like that, you lowborn. People like you are unworthy of being residents of the village hidden in the leaves. I simply didn't care about his words, about the fact that he called me lowborn, about trying to trample me into the dirt. It didn't matter that no one said a word to him in my defense. Now at least I knew who to look for. I spent the rest of the class waiting. A lot of thoughts were running through my head, I have to ask him, I have to ask about her. But my pride wouldn't let me approach. Pride be damned. I have to find out. Yukuin, do you have a sister? Hyuga glanced at me in surprise. It was clear from his face that he was thinking about what to answer. I have a younger sister, Hanabi. But don't even think you can win her over. And don't you dare talk to me again, trash. His expression returned to its usual, befitting his name. He said younger sister, but the girl from the visions was about our age. I didn't know what to do. After the academy, I decided to think, there is no better place than the rock with the Hokage faces. I was sitting on my favorite place again, my dad's head, and looking at the clouds covering the sky. In the distance, thunder rumbled, somewhere a flash of lightning flashed. Oh, if only there were a god of thunder. For a moment it thundered here. And the sky was covered with clouds. And the rain poured down. Oh, maybe then. Did he stop you, my love? I turned around, next to me stood a girl of about 25, her eyes reflected longing for someone, I saw it. I could not see her eyes, strangely, but their image was immediately erased from my memory. Long black hair fell in a wave on her shoulders. You know, I often have a dream in which a beautiful girl with violet eyes tries to talk to me. She looks a lot like my classmate, Hyuga-you. Every day, I wake up hoping that one day I will find her. But I don't even know her name. I don't know why I'm telling her this, that it will change, but I just wanted to talk. It started to rain, I turned around, but there was no one else behind me, and was she even there? When I got home, water was dripping off me. Apparently there would be no training today. I went up to my room and changed into dry clothes. Kakashi wasn't here yet, I had finished reading Jiraiya's book yesterday, there was nothing to do. I was sitting at the kitchen table and looking out onto the street, beautiful flowers were growing under the window, the color of her eyes. That evening Kakashi didn't tell me anything. He came home late, and I had already gone to bed, though I hadn't fallen asleep yet. I was lying in my room, looking at the ceiling. Hataki and I had recently whitewashed it, it was really funny, he had taken off his mask in front of me for the first time. What had happened? Why hadn't he come to training? Was there a reason for that, or had he simply decided to ignore me? I didn't know. I couldn't fall asleep. How much time had passed? An hour? 2? Or maybe less? It was raining outside. The drops were beating out an incomprehensible rhythm on the roof and the windowsill, the wind was rustling the leaves, the sounds of thunder were heard somewhere, and I was remembering. I remember very clearly the first time I heard thunder. I was about 4 years old then, it was raining heavily outside, just like now, I was scared. That time my mother was calming me down, her cold fingers were gently running through my hair, I didn't know yet that she was a ghost. But I loved her very much, and I still love her very much. She was telling me a fairy tale. The words spoken in a quiet, calm voice fascinated me. I really liked my mother's story. The main character was a girl with a very strange name, Alice. I didn't know where my mother got this fairy tale from. I had never heard of anyone in our village having such funny names, but the name Alice didn't seem funny to me. It was very beautiful. Alice, I said, trying the name out. The first attempt failed, the second letter didn't want to be pronounced, making such a tender name rougher. But we are somehow similar, misunderstood by everyone, those who are called eccentrics, laughed at and feared. But were they afraid of Alice in this fairy tale? To be honest, almost all of its content almost flew out of my head, only the image remained, so similar to my stranger. And yet, why is she so similar to you, was my last thought before I fell asleep. In the morning I woke up in a good mood. There was no rain. Looking out the window, I saw how beautifully the sunrise was reflected in small puddles. Having washed and dressed, I went downstairs. Kakashi was doing something in the kitchen, this time he was without a mask. There were already 2 portions of an appetizing smelling omelette on the table, 2 small cups of rice stood next to it. When Hataki turned around, I saw 2 cups of hot coffee, which he immediately put on the table. "Good morning, Kakashi-san." "Good day, Naruto," said my guardian, sitting down at the table. I immediately joined him. "Well then, Naruto, let's get to the meal." "Itadakimasu. Itadakimasu." I repeated and started eating. There was silence at the table during the meal. Although I realized this a week ago, I am always ready to repeat, Kakashi cooks very tasty. When the meal was finished, I looked at my guardian sipping coffee. We had a conversation ahead. Sighing, Hataki began. "Naruto, I'm very sorry that everything turned out this way. An urgent mission outside the village came up. Although the destination was not very far, I couldn't come on time. Today I'm at your complete disposal. So we can still train, okay?" Kakashi looked at me. I saw sadness and guilt in his eyes. He really didn't want it, it just happened that way. It was strange to see him like this. In a burst of gratitude I ran up to him and hugged him. "Okay Nisan, and now I'm off to get ready for the academy." My last words made Kakashi freeze for a second. My ears were burning traitorously, my soul was warm from the warm expression in his eyes. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Hataki Kakashi begins. When Naruto called me big brother, I froze for a moment. It was the first time he called me that. As a child I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be part of the family of the teacher who replaced my father. Minato-sensei was more important to me than anyone I knew, except for Obito and Rin, of course. "Naruto, I'll be a good older brother to you, I promise." No one heard these words that sounded in the kitchen, but it was still important, especially for me. Hataki Kakashi is finished. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. After the academy I ran home as fast as I could. Today Iruka-sensei talked about elemental chakra, some of which some already knew, but it was still very interesting. Here is my new home, I still can't get used to it. "I'm home." My voice seemed too loud to me. "Welcome back, Naruto." Kakashi's voice came from somewhere in the kitchen. Nisan was near the stove. He looked very funny, in a shinobi uniform and an apron. His forehead protector as always covered his left eye, no mask. It seems to me, or have I been noticing him in the kitchen more and more lately? I wonder if he always spent so much time there or if I'm making him into a housewife. After a very tasty lunch, the conversation turned to the academy. No one had ever asked about my academic progress before, except maybe old man Tucci. When I was talking about elemental chakra, Kakashi was smiling and hanging on my every word. "If only I could find out my element," I said with a sigh. Nisan went somewhere. He returned 2 or 3 minutes later, holding a wooden box, which he placed on the table. There were some sheets of paper in it. "This is a special paper for checking the chakra element." Looking at my questioning look, Hataki grinned. "Yes, the one you told me about. A person takes a piece of paper in his hands and passes a little of his chakra through it. The air element cuts the paper in two, fire burns, lightning crumples. From the influence of water the paper gets wet, and from earth crumbles into dust. And now we can begin training." "Nisan, what is your element?" "The main right ton. I also know Swate ton and Doton, but to a lesser degree. Your father had right ton and Futon, though he didn't have time to fully master air." Now, take the paper and finally determine the element. Wow, Kakashi has 3 elements, I wonder which one I'll have. I thought and, taking the paper, concentrated my chakra. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. And time goes by, I'm already 10. Yes, so much time has passed, I haven't seen my stranger for so long. I didn't know whether to be happy or sad. I was glad that she was okay, she was no longer dying, like in those moments when I see her, but I was sad, I hadn't seen her for 4 years. Kakashi finds time to train with me almost every day, although when he has missions he has to train alone. During this time, we mainly worked on chakra control, walking on steep cliffs, trees, water. We also practiced taijutsu, in which we were helped by the occasional green beast of Konoha, and how does Nissan tolerate him? Working with elemental chakra did not go so well at first. Yes, I was lucky with the element. I had lightning, like my father and Nissan. It's good that my first element is not wind or fire, otherwise Kakashi would not have been able to train me. The rise in the study of elemental chakra occurred only after a fan of Jiraiya's work taught me the shadow cloning technique. At first, it seemed unnecessary to me, I was already sick of cloning techniques, especially illusory ones. But when I learned that these clones are material, and also transfer experience to the original, I was very happy. The speed of assimilation of knowledge will increase several times, if you look at how many clones I get. But the downside was that I was terribly tired of creating clones. But think for yourself, it is worth creating 1 clone at a time, and with my chakra supply, when I want to create clones somewhere around 100, it's generally brutal. But soon I found a way out, the technique of mass shadow cloning. I only needed to add a few seals, and everything was ready, all that was left was to find this technique. How good it is to be the son of the 4th Hokage. The technique turned out to be forbidden due to its high chakra consumption and was stored in the Umbu archive. But, alas, the last time it was my father who set up protection, and it seems the system mistook me for him, because no one thought to restrict access. And now I have a description of this technique. Having quickly copied the scroll using clones, I went home. Nissan will not return from the mission soon, there is still time. It took me about 10 minutes to master the technique, I knew the basics of shadow cloning, all that was left was to learn how to create the required number of clones. That's what I was doing until Kakashi came. I sent several of the resulting clones to the basement, to the library. The village did return the scrolls of my father and mother, but it felt like not all of them. The clones were studying seal techniques downstairs, and I didn't even notice how I dozed off in the garden. The next day I had to go to the academy again, Kakashi never came back from the mission, I started to worry a little, but looking around, I smiled, the main thing is that he is alive. It turns out there should be a midterm exam today. I completely forgot about it, and I was also tired after I dispelled the clones in the morning. Why is life so unfair? I got this damn illusionary cloning. The only ticket, the practical part of which I could not complete. No matter how much I tried to train it, it was very far from ideal. Yes, of course, I was able to create a sluggish, flawed clone and even a little transparent, but I failed the practice, to say nothing of the theory. So, son of the 4th, nothing is working out? Many still considered me a liar, because not a single book said that the 4th had children. For them, despite the fact that I was no longer at the bottom of the list in academic performance, I was still the same incapable, strange Naruto. And all because of these illusory clones. Nissan encouraged me, said that everything would definitely work out, and I believed him. Naruto, Kushina-san, your mother was also weak in this technique, she hated it fiercely, just like you. Maybe this is your family weakness? Even your mother couldn't do this technique. I wonder if other Uzumaki also had problems with this technique? I need to look somewhere about this. Having created 1 clone, I sent it to the Hokage, because he said that there would be problems contacting him. I don't know if the 3rd told the truth, but he personally saw 3 Uzumaki who used this technique. So the theory of family predisposition is out of the question. Well, I'll have to train. After this incident, every training session 5 clones work on this technique. Hard work bears fruit, little by little, but still, the technique becomes more successful. I hope that before the final exam I will be able to fully master it. At the academy, everything was the same, except for my improved grades. I really wanted Nissan to praise me for my success. In all subjects except one, Hyuga was in the lead, but what can you do, the heir to the strongest clan in the village, a genius. He was only surpassed in seal techniques. This is only what they say, seal techniques, but in reality, in this subject we learn to seal objects and scrolls and make signal and explosive seals. In our class, I was the best at Fuinjutsu, which is not surprising, because I am an Uzumaki after all. Out of the whole class, I was the first to achieve results. The girls who were always running after Hyuga looked at me with a wolfish expression. How could some loser have outstripped their genius? They called me a cheater, a loser. Only 3 people in the class weren't surprised. Shika and Choji, my only friends in the class, knew about my clan affiliation, and Irika-sensei still remembered that even Jiraiya, who had been studying Fuinjutsu for so many years, would never be able to compare with Uzumaki. And if the Hyuga were geniuses of the soft hand style, the Uchiha were geniuses of Katan and Sharingan, then the Uzumaki were masters of Fuinjutsu. But many in the class still considered me clanless, despite the fact that 4 years ago I told them about the once great clan. There's only 1 year left, and I'll finally be able to become a shinobi. How I want to be on a team with Shikamaru and Chuji, but alas, they're the only ones who know what team they'll be on. Ino Shikacho is a long-established tandem that has proven itself, where each team member knows each other's strengths and weaknesses, and can cover their comrades' back. And I kept looking at my classmates and wondering which of them fate would bring me together with, in the person of the 3rd Hokage. I trained hard all year, the illusionary clones were almost perfect, inferior to the original only in brightness, but I will quickly deal with this problem. Nissan helped me with a teacher for the 2nd element, which turned out to be air, just like my father. With lightning techniques, everything was not going so well. Kakashi promised that as soon as I became a genin, he would teach me Chidori and other techniques. No wonder he is a copy ninja. And now I only knew 2 techniques: amplification of lightning chakra, which improves speed and strength, and also provides protection. Nissan said that the Reikage is famous for this technique, which makes him the fastest man in the world. The 2nd technique was an electric field. However, these 2 techniques were only slightly different. I began to master air under the strict supervision of Sarutobi Asuma, or to be more precise, he gave me tasks that I and the clones practiced. And Sarutobi himself played shogi with Shikamaru. Although we are friends with Nara, I did not like to play shogi, although I knew how. By the time I graduated from the academy, I had 2 elements at my disposal, all that was left was to learn the techniques. There were very few futon techniques in my father's library, although Kakashi said that my father had collected a decent amount of them. And who could need them? Besides me and Asuma, air was also owned by some Shimura Danzo. I think he was that bandaged old man. I wonder if he would agree to teach me a few techniques. I read all the literature about Fujitsu in the house, but it was hard to figure it out without a teacher. There were no competent masters in the village, few advanced beyond the academy level, and even then they were only umbu. Kakashi also knew a few seals. So, I'll try to figure it out myself. I am, after all, Uzumaki. And finally, that very day came. I had to pass 4 exams. The first was the theoretical part, a regular test, problems on working in the field and the like. We took it first. I solved half of the tasks very quickly. It was not for nothing that Kakashi made me study. There were more problems with the second half. I did not remember some of the tasks, but I still tried to solve them. The second was an exam in taijutsu. Many of the group had their own fighting style, these were all clan ones. Hyuga showed himself the best, of course. The non-clan ones were doing worse, the standard fighting style taught at the academy. I was still just forming my style, the techniques that Kakashi and Guy showed me, the combinations from the academy. Nissan advised combining my fighting style with lightning chakra, releasing a weak charge of electricity when striking, thereby influencing the enemy's fighting style. The third exam was throwing kunai. Even though I trained every day, I still couldn't overtake you. Only 1 kunai separated me from him, just a couple of centimeters to the center of the target, and we would have been equal. The fourth exam is ninjutsu. Some of my classmates didn't take the tickets, mostly clan members, they had to show 1 family technique. Non-clan members and we did take the tickets. If only my clan were alive, I wouldn't have taken it either. I showed a few combat seals and passed the exam. As I felt, I got illusory clones. You should have seen the eyes of my classmates, everyone was very surprised. Of course, most of them mastered the technique in just a few days, and I spent several years on it, and that's with clones. In the overall ranking I was third. The first, of course, was Hyagayu, and first in all exams, except for theory, in which Haruno Sakura surpassed him. What a pity that Fujitsu was not studied as a separate subject, but only as part of ninjutsu. I would have shown everyone. The results were announced. Yu's female fans were screaming, squealing, and looking at him with adoration as he basked in the glory. However, he was too arrogant. When my results were announced, almost everyone looked at me with disdain, not believing that I could get the genin headband even though they witnessed me taking the exams. Tomorrow we will be divided into teams. I look closely at my classmates. Usually, 2 shinobi and 1 kunoichi are put on a team. Of all the girls, only Inuzuka Hana does not whist on you, and she treats me neutrally, although she treats everyone like that. Most of the time, as far as I know, she spends in the veterinary clinic, where she looks after dogs. Another person with whom I would like to be in the same group is Aburame Shino. I almost did not hear how this guy speaks, but unlike the others, he looks at me with understanding. Kakashi said that this clan breeds insects that feed on chakra. Usually, when people find out that bugs live right under the skin of Aburame, they look at them with disgust. Perhaps he thinks that we are similar. I am a Jinchuriki, a weapon of the village, a person who is hated by the whole village. I am the heir to the head of the clan. It is not surprising that he can know about my settler. Besides these two, I didn't see anyone else on the team with me, unless it was someone from our class. At the exit from the academy, everyone was met by their parents, and me by Nissan. The sun was shining right in my eyes. I was ready to swear that for a few seconds I saw the silhouettes of my parents, against the cloudless light blue sky. You're doing great, Naruto. I was the happiest person in the world. My family was next to me, and even the disdainful looks of the residents could not spoil it for me. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. I woke up from the ringing of the alarm clock. The smell of omelette was coming from below. It seemed that Nissan was preparing breakfast. After taking water procedures, I got dressed and went downstairs. The delicate purple flowers under the window had already blossomed. How long had it been since I saw her? Coffee in the morning, how nice. There was still an hour left before the distribution. Kakashi smiled strangely, but he still didn't say what happened. Deciding to take a walk, I went out early. The sun was shining brightly, reflecting off the shiny metal protector. Shinobi ran past on the roofs, who were probably rushing to a mission. People glanced at them and then went about their business. They got used to it. There was no one near the academy yet. My favorite swing was unoccupied. Sitting down on it, I closed my eyes and looked at the sky. Cumulus clouds were slowly approaching the village. Good morning, Shikamaru said and sat down, leaning against a tree. I nodded and continued to look at the sky. This habit appeared after close communication with Nara. The young genin were approaching the academy. A few minutes later Chuji arrived. He was holding a bag of chips, as always. Shikamaru and I nodded at him in unison. Well, it was time to go to class. There weren't many people in the classroom, and as I sat down at the last desk next to Hana, I looked around. There were his fans crowded around you. Sakura and Ino were arguing over who would sit next to him. Some unfamiliar, pale, brunette guy was sitting at the first desk, smiling somehow falsely. 10 minutes later, Iruka-sensei arrived. He glanced at everyone gathered and smiled sadly. Congratulations to everyone on graduating from the academy. This is the day when you say goodbye to childhood. You are now adults, real shinobi, ready to serve for the good of the village. I will miss you, but still, I am proud that you were my students. And now let's start distributing into teams. The teacher's voice was sad, but still, he was happy for us. The distribution into teams went as I expected. The girls squealed, sighed resignedly, looking towards you. Some looked for their comrades with their eyes. Team 7 Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, Nakamura Sai. Mentor, Hataki Kakashi. I looked around, trying to find my new comrades. Sakura is another fan of you. The girl was upset. She looked at me with a sigh, and, like me, looked for a certain sigh. That same black-haired guy smiled. Most likely, it was him. Nisan is now our sensei. I wonder if he will be late today. It seems that over the past few years he got rid of this habit, but still, sometimes it shows up. Meanwhile, teacher Irika was announcing the next team. Team 8 Inuzuka Hana, Aburame Shino, and Hyuga Yu. Mentor Yuhi Kurine. Disappointment was heard from all sides. The girls looked enviously at Hana, who phlegmatically exchanged glances with Shino, glanced briefly at Yu, and returned to her usual business, that is, scratching her puppy behind the ear. Hyuga himself sighed resignedly. It was this girl who did not pay any attention to the star boy, which upset him madly. Team 10 Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, Akimichi Chuji. Mentor, Sarutobi Asuma. The composition of this team did not surprise anyone, only Ino looked at Hyuga with doom. Team number 9 was not named, but as I knew, it was the number of Might Guy's team. Although there was another Hyuga on that team, Niji did not seem so arrogant to me, although he was a genius. He reminded me of a bird in a cage. He also tried to break free, away from clan prejudices. There was also one guy on this team, Rock Lee. He tried to imitate his teacher in everything, who was also his guardian. After Kakashi became my guardian. Might Guy looked for a ward for a long time, and finally found Lee, who recently began to pester me. Naruto, be my eternal rival. The last member of their team was a girl named Tenten. She was a master of using various weapons. Before the exam she trained kunai throwing and kenjutsu with me several times, and I, in turn, helped her with sealing weapons into scrolls. Irika, sensei finished announcing the teams. It was time for a lunch break. The mentors were supposed to arrive in an hour. Old man Tucci was glad to see me. Lately, I rarely went to Ichiraku. Shikamaru and Chuji were sitting next to me. Akimichi was already eating his third bowl of ramen, not lagging behind me. Nara was only finishing his first portion. Ino went somewhere with a group of girls, apparently trying to have lunch with you. My comrades also went somewhere. I didn't exchange a few words with Nakamura, and Sakura, an ordinary fan of you. Here we are sitting in the classroom, our mentors are standing in front of us. Kakashi was not late this time, which is not surprising, and, having split into teams, we went to the roof. There was a small garden around. Yo. My name is Hataki Kakashi. From today on I am your sensei. First you should introduce yourself, your name, dreams, hobbies, likes, dislikes. Well, that's what I thought. First we will try to get to know each other, then we will have some teamwork training. Or maybe you could set an example for us? Of course it was Sakura. Looking at Nai-san, I couldn't help but laugh quietly. In his single glance, one could read only one question. For what? Well then. As I already said, my name is Hataki Kakashi. I don't want to tell you what I like and what I don't. Dreams? Well, I have a lot of hobbies. As expected from Nai-san. Sakura will most likely now express the conclusion of his speech. And in the end we only found out his name. Oh yeah, Sakura, that's what I expected from you. He's not going to say that he likes to read porn novels. He respects teamwork, and doesn't like those who don't value their comrades. How will he check our teamwork after that? Now it's your turn, let's start with Naruto. Well, you set me up. I looked at Kakashi, he smirked. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen, especially at Ichiraku, and I also like training with Nai-san. I don't like waiting for the time when the ramen is brewing, and when Nai-san tries to get out of training. I dream of becoming a strong shinobi, and also finding one person. How Kakashi rolled his eyes at what I didn't like. Next was Sakura's turn. My name is Haruno Sakura, I like someone. I dream that one day he will become my husband. And I don't like it when Ino hangs around my you. Oh, I can't. I almost burst out laughing. Sakura is such a Sakura. Now you. Kakashi said, pointing at the brunette. My name is Nakamura-sai. I like to draw, I don't like renegades. My dream is to be useful to the village, and draw a panorama of Konoha. This time his smile was sincere. Well, now we've met. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll be waiting for you at the 7th training ground. I advise you not to have breakfast, so that you don't feel bad later. We'll see what you can do. We'll finish here, Kakashi said and disappeared in a cloud of white smoke. Sai followed him, without saying a word to us. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. The morning at the Uzumaki house was no different from the others that day. Kakashi was still preparing breakfast. Naruto turned off the alarm with a dissatisfied look and trudged to the bathroom. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. When I went down to the kitchen, breakfast was already ready. Nissan silently nodded towards the plate, sat down next to me and started eating. I glanced at Kakashi. Yes, my poor comrades, now, probably, they just woke up and are getting ready for the training ground. Everything was delicious as always. I wonder if he still remembers that he forbade us to have breakfast. Thank you Anai-san, everything was delicious, and now I'm off. Quickly attaching the pouch with kunai to my belt, I hurried to the 7th training ground. There was half an hour left until the appointed time. I needed to talk to Sai and Sakura about the task. Knowing Anai-san, he would check the teamwork. I quickly reached the destination. Nakamura was sitting, leaning against a tree, and drawing something, occasionally dipping his pen into the inkwell. Hi, what are you drawing? Sai looked up from his work and looked at me. A light, barely noticeable, bright smile appeared on his face. And he showed me a beautiful ink drawing. Thin lines of houses, against the background of a black sun. Beautiful, I wish I could draw like that. Listen, Sakura hasn't come yet, but I'd like to talk about the task that Kakashi-sensei will give us. I froze. Next to me I could see the silhouette of a white-haired guy with black, sad eyes. Thin transparent fingers tried to reach Sai, but seemed to run into an invisible barrier, and the guy pulled his hand back in pain. Something was holding this boy here. Wait, don't. Sai, what's in your right pocket? Nakamura pulled out a small hardcover book in surprise. My hand unconsciously reached for it. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Nakamura Sai beginning. I sat and painted the dawn over the village, the rays of the sun illuminating the building of the residence. Another painting without a title. Hello, what are you drawing? Uzumaki Naruto, the Jinchuriki of the village, stood next to me. I raised my eyes and looked at him. In his file, which Danzo-sama gave me to read, his characteristics were given, some abilities and features were described. But there was one thing that every villager knew, a certain oddity about this guy. I hadn't seen anything strange in these 2 days, an ordinary genin, except that he was too energetic, and his manner of dressing in all orange. I showed him the drawing briefly, dipped the pen in the inkwell and drew another line. Beautiful, I wish I could draw like that. Listen, Sakura didn't come, but I wanted to talk about the task that Kakashi-sensei will give us. Naruto froze. Now I seem to understand why they called him strange. There was something otherworldly in his gaze. Someone else's pain was reflected in his eyes. Wait, don't. Sai, what's in your right pocket? I wondered why he needed it and took my book of drawings out of my pocket. Uzumaki reached for it. There was a familiar and such a dear expression in his eyes. I didn't know what to do. Naruto slowly took my book. The wind slowly turned the pages. Sad, so sad and painful. Shin had the same expression in his eyes. Our common desires and dreams began to emerge in my memory. I wonder if he was angry with me? How I miss him. The middle of the book, an empty space, there should be our images. I pull the book towards me, take a pencil out of my pocket and draw. My heart immediately becomes lighter. The clouded eyes of the Jinchuriki attract me to themselves. Shin, the eyes begin to sting. A slight smile flitted across Naruto's face, his eyes dimmed for a moment, and he returned. Thank you, such a strange Naruto. Nakamura Sai is finished. The girl with long cherry blossom hair watched her comrades with interest. These strange fits of Naruto, she had almost forgotten how scary he could be sometimes. Sensei was not there yet, and Sakura was sitting on the edge of the training ground. The other members of the 7th team did not see her. 10 minutes later, Kakashi, the sensei, arrived. Sakura, come here. Hataki called the girl, waving his hand. The green-eyed kunoichi quickly ran up to her mentor. Well then, your task is to take these 2 bells, whoever fails to do so will be sent back to the academy. You must be extremely serious. Now, let's begin. Sakura opened and closed her mouth silently, like a fish, trying to say something, but couldn't. Kakashi-sensei, how can this be? We passed all the exams, now we are genin. Naruto and Sai exchanged glances, smiling. Sakura did not see these smirks and continued to be indignant. Is there a problem? Hatake Kakashi's single eye conveyed so many emotions. Sakura shuddered, took a step back, and shook her head. Now let's get started. Not a second had passed, and the genin of team number 7 had already disappeared into the forest. Naruto immediately found Sai and was talking to him about something. One of Uzumaki's clones tried to persuade Sakura to cooperate, but she refused, hitting him on the head. The clone dispersed, without having come to an agreement with the kunoichi. Kakashi stood in the middle of the clearing and read a book with an interested look. Nakamura's cry was heard from the forest. Ninpo, painted animals. 2 ink lions ran towards Kakashi, who put the book away and, having made some kind of seal, disappeared. From the forest, the sounds of metal blows were heard. 2 Narutos were chasing Kakashi towards the clearing, with each blow flashes of light and reflections of metal were visible. The ink lions rushed towards Hatake, Sai ran after them, taking another kunai out of his bag. A sharp throw, towards the sensei, who was about to make another seal. The kunai passed within a centimeter of Kakashi's hand, one of the Narutos caught it in midair and sent it flying back. The original or a clone, it was not known who it was. Someone's shadow fell on the shinobi. A huge bird was approaching from the direction of the sun. Another Naruto was approaching from above, reflections of light reflected from a small blade right into Kakashi's eye. A sharp jump to the side, a weak breeze brings the quiet ringing of bells to the shinobi. Naruto and Sai looked at their teacher, smiling. A gloomy Sakura came out of the forest, looking at Naruto with malice. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. So our test has passed. Sai and I passed it, unlike Sakura. When Nai-san talked about teamwork, he praised Nakamura and me together. How we used techniques, helping our comrade. I liked Sai, he understood me at a glance, I think, or after the incident with the drawing he became more emotional. I reprimanded Sakura Hatake, she had to agree to my offer of cooperation, but she refused, and even raised her hands. I don't know how we will work together in the same team, I would never trust someone who hates me to guard my back. And after the test I had no doubt about it, her eyes speak for themselves. If it were up to me, there would be another person on our team, but alas, we were divided into teams, and it's too late to change anything now, but I'll still talk to my brother about it. And now, the time has finally come. I am already a genin, and both me and Nai-san have free time. And now it is time to train. Having formed the seal of mass shadow cloning, I created 50 copies of myself. Finally, I will be able to learn Chidori, and other lightning techniques. Asuma-sensei was busy, so I could not learn air, but I conveyed through Shikamaru that when there is time, I will find out. The technique wasn't very difficult to master, it just required concentrating more chakra in your hand than when striking. The problem was in control. It was difficult to adapt to the enemy's fighting style and not to hurt others. When forming Chidori, the coordination of movements was slightly disrupted, one hand moved faster than the other. But, thanks to the clones, I was able to master it in just 5 hours. Well, if you add up all the time that I and the clones spent on this training, then 51 Naruto spent a total of 255 hours, which is approximately equal to 10 to 11 days. Kakashi, as always, was in the kitchen. Tomorrow was our first mission. Dinner was hearty, I needed to gain more strength. After today, I decided to try drawing something. Nakamura's work somehow caught my attention, if only I could depict nature and people like that. I sat, leaning over the table, and slowly moved the pencil across the paper. How long it had been since I drew, then I didn't know about my parents. They were next to me, my mother looked at my drawings with a smile, told me fairy tales and was simply there. And outside the window the wind rustled the leaves. Cumulus clouds, in the dark blue sky, were torn apart by flashes of lightning. I slowly traced the outlines of the night village. A stream of cold rain poured from the sky, obscuring the view. Each clap of thunder echoed in my heart as a new blow. Before my eyes was her silhouette. Long, black hair fell on her back. Bangs covered one half of her face, her arms seemed too thin, and her eyes reflected cold calm. Although she looked like you, there were still differences. I wanted to say something, but with another flash of lightning, her image disappeared. How I wanted to find her. I know she is alive, I just have to look. I took out a new sheet of paper, her image was in front of me again, and again disappeared in a flash of lightning. The hand was drawing the thin lines of her face. It seemed that someone invisible was moving the brush. A thin lilac thread stretched somewhere into the distance, the color of the stranger's eyes. A sharp pain made me shudder. Where is she? Streams of red wind rushed away from me in all directions. A roar was heard on the first floor, and a few seconds later Inai-san was in my room. Naruto, what's wrong? Calm down, I'm here. His voice sounds as if through a thick layer of water. My eyes were cut with severe pain. Another flash of lightning, I see her again. She looks at me, I can't do this anymore. Where are you? I want to find you so much. The wind died down, tears slowly flowed from my eyes. Nisan hugged me tenderly and said something, calming me down, and I kept thinking about her. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Hatake Kakashi begins. It was raining outside, Naruto was in his room, and I was sitting in the kitchen, drinking strong black coffee and rereading Flirting Tactics again. Goosebumps ran across my skin, the air in the house was tense with demonic chakra. Streams of wind came down the stairs from the second floor. The cup of coffee fell from my hands and broke with a ringing sound, forming a seal. I moved to Naruto's room. His eyes were burning red, and the ripples in them attracted my gaze. Naruto, what's wrong with you? Calm down, I'm here. I tried to calm him down, the nine-tailed fox shouldn't get away. I was very worried about my little brother, I've gotten so used to him over the years, life without him won't be the same. Where are you? I want to find you so much. Naruto said, falling to his knees. Tears were streaming from his eyes, and my heart was bleeding. Another flash of lightning, it seemed that for just a second I saw the silhouette of a girl. She looked sadly at the air of the sensei. Naruto, be quiet. Good, you will definitely find her, I will help you, and now sleep. I spoke to him quietly, whether he heard me, I did not know. People consider him strange, despise and hate him for holding back the fox. No, he is not a demon, he is just my little stupid brother. There is nothing strange in his actions, he just sees what we are not able to see. Hatake Kakashi is finished. Naruto, I will help you make your dream come true. The white-haired jounin sat next to his protege. In his hands was a small pencil drawing of the girl he had seen recently. So Hyuga. The shinobi's voice broke the silence. Kakashi looked thoughtfully out the window, and relief flashed in the slightly open eyes of the little blonde. The rain stopped only in the morning. Kakashi was in the kitchen, his team had their first mission today. Naruto was still asleep. A cat was meowing plaintively under the window. Hatake was busy with breakfast, it was 8 o'clock in the morning, it was time to wake up the fox. A commotion was heard from the second floor, it seemed that no one else needed to be woken. A quick stomp on the stairs and Naruto flew into the kitchen, putting on a t-shirt as he went. Good morning Inai-san, are we late? Uzumaki quickly sat down at the table. Everything was almost ready, and after putting breakfast in front of their charge, they began to eat. They walked together to the village chief's residence. After the rain the day before, there were many puddles on the road. Sakura and Sai were already waiting for us there. Hello, sensei. Sakura said, and looked at Naruto with hostility. Hello, Sakura, Sai. Well, shall we go? He answered them, and team number 7 went to receive their first mission. The residence was noisy, mission orders were being accepted on the first floor, people were crowding in line, shouting, making noise. Shinobi were running not only on the floor, but also on the ceiling. Having received their first mission, Team 7 set out to carry it out. Traditionally, genin who had just graduated from the academy had to carry out many D-rank missions. Walking dogs, weeding fields, searching for herbs outside the village. These tasks did not really improve the shinobi's skills, but they were a source of income. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. I overslept, there was no alarm clock, strange, where could I have put it? It was already 8 in the morning, an hour remained before receiving the mission, and I still hadn't had breakfast. Dressing on the go, I hurried to the kitchen. Kakashi was preparing breakfast as usual. Good morning Nai-san, are we late? My question remained unanswered. Hataki put an omelette on my plate, and I started eating. We walked to the residence together with my brother, talking about something. After the mission, the whole team will need to gather for unity. Sakura's evil look made me shudder, but I got used to it. I thought so, our first mission was to weed the garden. After the rain, I didn't want to dig in the mud, but, alas, a mission is a mission. Sakura was indignant the whole way, we all rolled our eyes, how annoying she was. Here we were, Hana-chan was on our team, not this thick-headed one. Here we were. Our feet were covered in mud. The customer was an elderly, petite woman. Black hair with graying, was disheveled. She glanced at our team, lingered her gaze on me for a few seconds, grimaced, there was an expression of contempt in her eyes. Having discussed the scope of work, the woman left, and we got to work. With each passing minute, Sakura was becoming more and more annoying with her twitching. My brother was reading a book, his eyebrow began to twitch in irritation, as did mine. Sai worked, smiling, but his smile was too fake. The work was going slowly, there would be no time left for training. Having formed the seal of mass shadow cloning, I summoned 24 copies of myself. Sakura finally fell silent. Oh no, that look again. I understand, of course, that I am not you, but she pisses me off. My clones finished the job in just half an hour. We went to hand in the mission report to the residents. Kakashi sent us home, warning that in an hour we would meet at the 7th training ground. At home, Nai-san, I quickly cooked dinner, it was delicious as always. When we arrived at the training ground, Sai was already there, and as always, drawing. I'll have to show him my drawings sometime. Sakura wasn't there yet. Some team was coming from the forest. Sensei approached them and talked about something with their mentor. Unfortunately, this training ground is busy today, so maybe we'll practice at the family training ground, near our house. What do you think, Naruto? I was in favor, it was just the opportunity to show Sai my drawing. A couple of minutes later, Sakura showed up, we went to meet her. Sakura, we'll study somewhere else today. Now, everyone, follow me. It didn't take us long to get home. When they got there, my comrades spent a long time looking at the training ground and the view of my house. Sai started scribbling something on paper, Sakura whistled and looked at the house. Well, let's get started. Sakura, Sai, can you control chakra? Walk on rocks and trees? Nakamura nodded, and Haruno looked at me questioningly, then at Kakashi and shook her head. Why didn't you ask him about this? Sakura asked, pointing her finger in my direction. Well, firstly, not this one, but Naruto. Secondly, he already knows how to do all of this. And thirdly, Sakura, we are one team, and you shouldn't treat your comrades like that. Now I'll show you how to concentrate chakra. And you choose a tree and get started. How this thick-headed woman annoys me, her arrogant look, all these antics. Sai, do you already know your element? Yes, I have wind, but I haven't mastered it yet. Well, a futon, just like mine. Very good, Naruto also has a futon, so you will master it together. Naruto, you show Sai what you can do for now, and I will go into the house. Kakashi said and left, probably to the kitchen. Where to start? I wonder what stage of mastering the wind he has reached. Sai, what stage of mastering the futon are you at? For example, I recently finished, I only need to learn a few techniques. It turned out that Nakamura only needed a little work, a few weeks, and we would be able to start mastering the techniques. Sakura had excellent control, and it didn't take her much time to learn how to control the chakra in her feet. Kakashi came out of the house and called them to the table to drink tea. Sakura looked around the house with interest. Kakashi-sensei, is this your home? You live here? The thick-headed one asks, sipping tea. What will happen now? Yes, but the house is not mine, it's Naruto's. We live here together, I look after him as his guardian. Sakura grimaced and pushed the cup away. Sai sat with a normal expression on his face. Kakashi's words did not surprise Nakamura at all. He probably knew about it, but where from? Sai, I tried to draw yesterday, can you take a look? Sai nodded, and we went to my room. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. It's been 2 weeks since we became a team. Everything was going well, if you can call the relationships in our team that. Almost every evening, Sai and I would sit and draw. I started doing better, and Nakamura started naming his paintings. Yesterday, he finally mastered the wind, now we can start mastering techniques. Sai promised to bring some scrolls, so I waited. Our relationship with Sakura in our team wasn't going well, she was always yelling, she didn't like that Sai and Nai-san were spending a lot of time with me. Apart from good control and knowledge of theory, she had nothing to brag about. Would she come to training today? Yesterday, she left in a terrible mood, yelling at me. Today, we had to receive another task, Haruno was already half an hour late, and we went to receive the mission without her. Today we had to collect medicinal herbs for the hospital. These missions were the ones Sai and I liked the most. As usual, I created several dozen clones and sent them out to search. Nakamura and I chose a good place, got out our art supplies and started creating. Kakashi, as always, was reading his book. Peace and quiet. Soon the clones came back, there were more herbs than needed, it was time to return to the village. It was the most peaceful day we've had in a while. No one was yelling in our ears, no one was bothering us, it was beautiful. After we dropped off the herbs at the hospital, Kakashi decided to visit Sakura, and Nakamura and I went to Ichiraka Ramen. Today was a clear sunny day, which we'd been waiting for a week. This was our chance to draw Konoha at sunset. Lately, training has only taken place at my family training ground. That's where Sai and I went. Creativity is creativity, but training is on schedule. Nakamura just happened to bring a scroll with wind techniques, although it was only a copy. It was given to him by Danzo-sama, his guardian. Nisan says that he is one of the most influential people in the village, on par with the Hokage. It didn't take much time to study the scroll, we decided to start studying with vacuum bullets. As always, I create 50 shadow clones, Sai follows my example and creates 3. There is no point in making more, there will not be enough chakra to practice the techniques. An hour later, Kakashi came with news. I can't say it was bad, but I couldn't call it good either. Sakura won't be in our group anymore, she's decided to become a medic, and she doesn't give a damn about us, so we won't be nominated for the upcoming Chunin exam unless we have a new comrade. Nisan said that the third promised to look for a candidate for this position, so we'll find out everything tomorrow. The evening went well, Sai stayed with us for dinner, which Kakashi cooked, while Nakamura and I sat on the roof and drew. During this time, he became my friend. For tomorrow, we agreed on training with Asuma, the sensei, but in exchange, we will have to pay for the 10th team's lunch, the presence of Chuji in which makes it very expensive. After dinner Sai went home, where he lived I still didn't know, and he was as mute as a fish. What a day, surprise after surprise. Nisan gave me someone's personal file to study, said that I would be interested. With each word I read my heart beat faster, I could not believe that I finally knew her name. Hyuga Hinata, the daughter of the clan head. Sister, twin of you, that's why they look so similar. According to the documents Kakashi gave me, she disappeared 7 years ago, approximately kidnapped by the shinobi of the cloud. There was no more information about her. Attached to the last sheet was a photo of a little girl with beautiful lilac eyes. Can I leave the photo? Kakashi nodded, and I, pressing the photo to my heart, went to my room. Just a little more and I will find you. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Meanwhile, the third Hokage was sitting in his office, looking through the files of the young genin. Many folders were lying to the side, and even more needed to be looked through. A thin folder was thrown aside, from which fell a photo of a pink-haired girl. Yes, you gave me a problem, Haruno Sakura, said the village chief, slowly exhaling smoke. He was looking at the next case intently, thinking about something. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. The next day, the whole team of us stood in the Hokage's office, waiting for his decision. I really hoped that he had found us a new teammate after all and that we would be able to go on missions again. It's good that you came. I thought about it for a long time yesterday and decided. Among your classmates, there was a guy who failed the exam. He got the only thing he couldn't do. So, I decided to give him a genin headband, and he is your teammate. I went over all my classmates who failed the exam in my head, but no one came to mind. I rarely talked to anyone from my group, not counting Shikamaru and Chuji. The rest, in most cases, did not even want to look at me. There was a knock on the door and a short guy entered the office. Dark, chestnut hair, brown eyes and a smile with all 32 teeth. The face was familiar, but I could not remember the name. This is Hayashi Kano. From today on he is your new comrade. In 3 days you will have another mission. You are given time to get used to each other. It's strange, but besides Sakura, do I even remember any classmate not from the clan by name and surname? No, have I really become the same as the others? I am Uzumaki Naruto, happy to cooperate. We hardly communicated at the academy. I hope we can make up for lost time. I extended my hand to Kano. When he hesitantly shook it, I smiled. After me, Sai and Nai-san introduced themselves to him. Okay, well now I suggest we go somewhere and talk in a warmer environment. Kakashi said and we left the Hokage's office. Kano turned out to be a normal guy. At the exam, he got illusory clones, just like me, and he failed them. His parents and immediate relatives were also shinobi, but they did not belong to any clan. He was not the only child in the family. His brother was 2 years younger and studied at the academy. Hayashi told a lot about himself. His main element was water, which he mastered 2 weeks ago, right after the exams at the academy. I really liked his dream. He wanted to found his own clan. Our dislikes coincided 100%, all 3 of us really disliked Sakura. In teamwork, everything was fine. Kakashi helped Kano learn several Suiton techniques, which went well with my lightning techniques. When I taught Hayashi shadow clones, the work went much faster. Surprisingly, he had a large amount of chakra. He could create copies 5 times more than Sai. We spent all 3 days training and communicating, after which we had our first joint mission. Well, Kakashi said that the 3 of you worked well together. It's not my policy, but since there are no more D-rank missions today, there is a C-rank escort and security mission. There are no free teams suitable for this task except yours. You will be escorting the architect Tazuna to the land of waves. And now I want to introduce you to the client. The third one said and pressed a button on the inside of the table. A door in the wall opened and an elderly man entered the room. His eyes were a little cloudy. Who occasionally drank from a bottle of darkened glass. And these are my guards? He said, but when he met our gaze, he fell silent. Tazuna-san, meet us in an hour at the gate. Nissan said and we left to get ready. An hour later, Nissan and I were approaching the village exit. Sai and Kano were talking about something with a customer. So, shall we move out? Tazuna-san, you go in the middle, Kano and Naruto go in front, and Sai and I will go behind. Kakashi said and we went on our first S-rank mission. Nakamura and Sensei were talking about something, most likely about new training or painting. Hayashi and I were trying to find new ways to combine our techniques. The path to the land of waves was not short, we had to walk for several days. The first attack happened in the evening. These were not bandits, typical for C-rank missions. We were attacked by Chunin-level shinobi. It all happened like this. There was a large strange puddle on the road, although it had been clear and sunny for 3 days, which gave rise to certain thoughts, and the chakra was poorly masked, amateurs. Nissan stretched. This movement was somehow unnatural for his brother. I looked at Kano and Sai, they also noticed it. Passing by, I winked at Sai, I hope he understood everything. As soon as Kakashi passed the puddle, the water in it shot up and 2 shinobi suddenly appeared from there. On their hands were sharp metal claws, connected to each other with a thin metal chain. One of these shinobi rushed forward, trying to take our sensei out of the game, but the seals I and Sai had cast in time prevented him, and he fell, crashing into the air barrier. Nissan and Kano did not waste time, 2 water dragons were already flying at the attackers, it was up to me. I concentrated my right chakra and cast the necessary seals, the 3rd dragon joined the 2 dragons. The shinobi had only one way to escape, up, but it was quickly blocked. Sai was hovering right above them on a huge bird, casting wind-release seals. The three dragons merged into one point, an electric discharge passed through the water, and the chunin of the fog lost consciousness. Time passed, we had to decide what to do. Nissan put pressure on the customer, and he spilled the beans. It turns out that the most influential person in the land of waves, the shipowner Gato, is hunting the architect. It is because of him that this country is in such a dire situation. This was no longer our mission, but despite the enormous risk, we decided to continue it. We had to get rid of the attacking shinobi, and I sealed their bodies in a scroll. It's not for nothing that I'm Uzumaki. Kakashi praised our teamwork, and that's worth a lot. No, I'm still very glad that Kano is now on our team. The next day we were already in the land of waves. We were being transported by some strange guy who immediately disappeared. There was very little left to our destination, but I still couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching us. I heard a rustle in the bushes. I threw a kunai there. But it was just a hare, a white hare, in the summer. Apparently Nii-san understood too. Get down! I shouted and everyone quickly dropped to the ground. A huge cleaver flew over our heads, spinning, and crashed into a tree. Then another shinobi landed on it. Well. Has the fugitive hidden mist renegade Momochi Zabuza-kun really come to us? Kakashi said, lifting his forehead protector. So this is the demon of the bloody mist. My brother often told me about famous shinobi and their deeds. I stood aside. This was not my fight, but if necessary, we will intervene. Sai and Kano understood me. All I could do was stand aside and wait. And you, it seems, are Sharingan Kakashi. Sorry, but this old man is mine. Zabuza said and jumped into the lake. The demon of the mist stood on the water, emitting chakra. Nimpo, the cover of fog. He said and disappeared. Fog began to thicken around us. Visibility was poor. But I knew with my sixth sense, he was somewhere close. The three of us surrounded Tazuna. A powerful key strike tore the space. Kano's knees were shaking. Don't be afraid, I can protect my comrades. Even if it costs me my life. Brother said with a smile and blocked Zabuza's sword strike aimed at us. Well, no, I won't let Nii-san die, he is my family. Kakashi hits Momochi with a kunai right at his heart, but alas, it is just a water clone, which immediately disintegrates into water splashes. The original was behind him, ready to strike. Zabuza's blade cuts through a tree, a replacement technique. And behind him, Kakashi stands, putting the tip of the blade to the neck of the missing nin. Nimpo, gust of wind! Sai and I shouted, performing the technique. The fog began to dissipate. Kakashi had grabbed the wrong one. The clone tried to break free, but it didn't work. The spears flew apart with splashes. Nii-san's clothes were wet, and the original was running towards him. A swing of the blade, Kakashi dodged, followed by a kick, throwing his brother towards the lake. Ninpo, water prison. But Zabuza didn't have time to make the last seal. Sai's ink lion was approaching him from behind. Kakashi managed to avoid the missing nin's technique. You think that you put on bandages and are now shinobi? At your age, my hands were already covered in blood up to the elbows. Zabuza's clone ran towards me. I couldn't block the blow to the stomach, and flew back. No, not now. My eyes were cut by terrible pain. Chakra ran through my body at an incredible speed, especially in my eyes. The outlines of the world became clearer. The soul of the renegade glowed with a weak bluish color, from which a barely discernible thread stretched towards the forest. I couldn't control it. There was a terrible pressure coming from all sides of me, streams of a terrible wind, swirling around me in an unknown dance. My jaws were pulled by an unpleasant feeling. Something was approaching. My gaze switched from one person to another, trying to find something. Zabuza and Nissan stood in the middle of the lake and synchronously formed seals. The water around them swirled, forming the image of a water dragon. Water release, water dragon strike. The opponents shouted simultaneously and the two techniques met. Nissan repeated every move the renegade made. He even finished his sentences. An expression of fear flashed across Zabuza's face. Water element, water explosion. Nissan finished the technique. Momochi was carried away by the wave to the tree. His hand was nailed to the tree by a kunai, and several more were sticking out of his hip. The sound of flying metal tore the air and several sanbon pierced the neck of the renegade. This connection, a thin light blue thread stretched, a guy in a ninja hunter mask was sitting on the tree. 2 souls were connected. Zabuza is alive, he is not who he claims to be. But my comrades did not have time to react. Momochi caught, the oinen disappeared in a cloud of gray smoke. The pressure on my eyes began to decrease, and the last thing I saw were the faintly glowing threads that connected our team. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. I opened my eyes, a wooden ceiling, the smell of food coming from somewhere below. I turned my head, my brother was lying next to me. I wonder how long I was unconscious. I went downstairs, everyone was sitting in a small but cozy kitchen. A young beautiful girl was standing by the stove, Kano was saying something to the customer, and Sai was drawing a portrait of some guy. "Hello everyone, how long have I been unconscious?" I asked. There was a bit of fear in the architect's eyes, perhaps after that burst of demonic chakra he was afraid of me. "Naruto, you're already awake. Meet my daughter Tsunami and my grandson Inari." The old man said. The girl smiled, unlike the boy. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto, nice to meet you. And Nai-san, that is, Kakashi-sensei, hasn't woken up yet?" Tazuna was surprised, probably didn't expect that I would call my mentor that. "No, you woke up first. Now let's eat," said the architect's daughter, setting the table. Sai was just finishing his drawing, and we started eating. It was very tasty, but I had a strange feeling that someone was watching us. My gaze fell on a torn photograph. A quiet whisper came from behind me. The silhouette of a man in his 30s was smiling and watching Inari eat. "He loves you very much. He especially likes the way you smile, Inari." Uzumaki Naruto is finished. In the small kitchen, just a minute ago, you could hear people talking, but now, just one phrase made everyone fall silent. A blonde with bottomless blue eyes looked somewhere into the distance. Naruto approached Inari, eyes full of hope and fear looked at Uzumaki, who tousled the boy's hair and asked, "Is everything okay, Inari? Dad, I missed you so much." Tazuna's grandson hugged the young genin, a slight smile appeared on Naruto's face. The child was crying, he remembered his adoptive father. "You can do anything, you will become a hero. Grandpa will be alive, and Mom will be happy." The boy smiled. Tsunami wanted to go to her son, to protect him from this strange man, but she couldn't. How long it had been since her son smiled. A quiet breeze blew, and everything became as before, but Tsunami could swear that for just a moment, she saw the vague silhouette of her dead husband, who gently ran his fingers along her cheek. Kakashi woke up at night, he won't be able to move normally for about a week, his body is overloaded due to using the Sharingan. The architect had to be guarded until the bridge construction work was finished. The first day, Sai was to be on duty, Naruto sent one of his clones with him, and he himself was busy training with Kano. No one remembered the incident with Inari anymore, and if such a thought slipped through, then everything was fine. Inari was smiling again. Over the past week, Team 7 had been able to practice several joint techniques. They traditionally began to go on duty in pairs. One genin and a clone, so that in case of an attack the rest of the team would be warned. The bridge offered a beautiful view of the island. It was best at dawn or sunset, when the sun's rays reflected off the water. Both Sai and Naruto loved these types of shifts, when they could sit silently and draw. On the 7th day, Hataki was able to move normally, and now the entire team accompanied Tazuna. On the 2nd day of such duty, Zabuza attacked. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. It was just after midday. The sun was shining brightly overhead, Tazuna and several of my clones were busy building a bridge. The workers hadn't come today, apparently they were afraid, but their numbers were becoming fewer and fewer every day anyway. Sai was drawing another seascape, Kano was observing his surroundings, and Nai-san was dozing off to the side. One of the 5 clones I left in Tazuna's house dissipated. The attempt to kidnap Tsunami failed, the attackers were neutralized and sealed in a scroll. Having received the information, I immediately informed their team they need to prepare, Zabuza will attack soon. What is this? My blood seems to be boiling. This strange feeling is in the air. The battle has stopped bothering me. Something is approaching. Kakashi and Zabuza are fighting off to the side. Kano and Sai are fighting the guy in the Oinen mask, and I have to guard Tazuna. Zabuza-san, you won't be paid. Gato decided to eliminate both us and you. Strange, I don't think I wanted to say that. Don't make me laugh, kid, we'll kill you and then the architect, get our money and get out of this poor country. Yes, he really believes his words. There are only 5 minutes left to hold out. Sai falls unconscious, a heartbreaking cry from Kano is heard. Is Nakamura dead? No, there is no killing intent in this guy's actions. I feel that it's the same as that time with Zabuza. A sound like thousands of chirping birds is heard. Kakashi decided to use this technique. The sound of tearing flesh, the fog begins to dissipate. Blood drips from his brother's hand, the guy in the mask falls dead to the ground, a painful cry from Zabuza is heard. The ice mirrors shatter into many fragments, Hayashi lies bent over Sai, tears streaming down his face. Momochi rushes towards Nai-san, but cannot keep up with his speed. Kakashi moves behind the mist demon, a flash of metal, a few neat blows with a kunai. You've lost both your arms, now you can't even make a seal. Hataki said. There was clapping of hands. The short, gray-haired man in sunglasses grinned maliciously. Oh, so you lost again. You're a weakling after all, Zabuza. Gato. What are you doing here? Who are all these people? The plans have changed, or rather, I planned it all this way from the very beginning. Zabuza, you're dead. I never intended to pay you Senna from the very beginning. Hiring ordinary shinobi from the village is too expensive, and they can also betray. That's why I hire renegades who can be eliminated after the mission is completed. Shinobi fight each other, and then my people take them by numbers, and I warned you. Gato was mocking the wounded Momochi. And the kid was right. Kakashi, our battle is over, I'm not going to touch the architect. Can you lend me a kunai? Zabuza asked. He caught the kunai that Nai-san threw with his teeth and rushed towards Gato. The demon of the hidden mist was approaching Gato, the pressure of the monstrous ki fell on the mercenaries. Even the blows of the blades that pierced the body could not stop Momochi. I'll take you to hell with me, he said, cutting the ship owner's throat. Sai opened his eyes, he was fine. But the strange feeling did not go away. Hey, shinobi. You are dead. You killed our boss. So we will plunder this city and take everything there is. My head was squeezed by terrible pain, my brother was sitting on the ground next to me, his chakra was gone, Kano and Sai were exhausted. Zabuza, Haku, yes, that was his name, such bright souls, I really liked you. I looked at the mercenaries, disgust, the only thing I felt. That's what it was, an aura of vice hovered around them. Dirty, stained with sins and blood souls. My eyes hurt more than usual, my spine was pulled and I, getting on all fours, prepared to jump. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. The blonde's eyes sparkled with a beast's fire, instead of the iris the color of a clear sky, there was a reddish ripple, as if from a drop falling into a sea of blood. From under the skin, foaming, an ominous scarlet chakra rose, enveloping Naruto. A beast's roar tore the air, 3 tails fluttered behind Uzumaki's back. Chakra bubbled, the silhouette of a fox's mouth was visible above the genin's head. A dash towards the mercenaries. The tails seemed to have a life of their own, aiming for hearts, tearing apart the chest, tearing out rotten souls. The clanking of chains is heard. The seal on the stomach fills with a bright red color. The crowd is no longer in the mood for robbery, fear has settled in every corner of their filthy souls. The tails deal with the mercenaries with great speed, tearing out the reason for their existence. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. And so our first serious mission ended. The bridge was built, now it was called the Bridge of One Hero. We buried Haku and Zabusu, Nai-san wanted to leave the decapitator on the grave, instead of a monument, but I talked him out of it. After the incident on the bridge, the attacks became more frequent. During the funeral, I saw them, Momochi did not want his sword to be covered in a layer of dirt, and I became its new owner. The whole time we were in the architect's house, Tazuna looked at me strangely, fear was visible in his eyes. It's good that Kano and Sai didn't see me like that. Kakashi's attitude towards me didn't change. The seal was now visible almost all the time. The black color of the seal changed to bright red, as if drawn with blood. Here we are at home. The village was still the same, nothing had changed. The same faces of the village heads, the same residents, the same eternal watchmen, and the same glances in my direction. After reporting the mission's results to the Hokage, the entire team decided to celebrate. This time, Ichiraku was gone, which upset me greatly. We met Team 10 at the restaurant. Ino was eating some light salad, Shikamaru was talking to Asuma-sensei about something, and Chuji was drooling over the meat being cooked. We got a table nearby, and in addition to the barbecue, I ordered ramen. The food at Ichiraku is much tastier. Towards the end of our get-together, Asuma-sensei came to us. Tomorrow after lunch, the 10th team will have training. And he will be able to devote time to us, of course, for a certain reward. And who can feed such a crowd? On the way home, Nai-san and I met Sakura. She didn't even say hello, but walked past with her head up. Tomorrow morning Kakashi has a meeting of Jounins, so I'm free until lunch. We decided to get together, the three of us, me, Sai and Kano, to go to Ichiraku. Nakamura wanted to show some beautiful landscapes, which we will definitely paint later. In the morning, when I woke up, Nai-san was already gone. There was a ready-made breakfast on the table. Databeo, he knows that I don't like salad. There was a note lying nearby, which explained in great detail why I should eat it. Now that's blackmail. Well, he almost never lets me go to Ichiraku, monitors my diet, as my mother bequeathed, and then threatens to reduce my visits from 3 times a week to 0. Having finished a portion of the hated dish, I hurried to meet my teammates. On the way I met Sai, an elderly man was walking next to him. I recognized him. This is the man who told me about my parents, but I did not remember his name. Naruto, meet Danzo-sama, my guardian. So that's what he's like. The man looked at me with a searching gaze, like a swordsman examining a blade for flaws. Hello, I am Uzumaki Naruto, Sai's teammate, nice to meet you. I heard that you are one of the strongest shinobi in the village. And you are the best in Konoha with futon. The thing is that we also have wind. So could you teach us a few techniques? Nakamura was very surprised, it was evident on his face. I bit my lip and waited for Danzo's answer. Yes, apparently no one dared to ask him about it. Let's see, maybe. Yes, I've never seen such an expression on Sai's face. He probably didn't expect such an answer from his guardian. Uzumaki Naruto is finished. Shimura Danzo beginning. Morning, looked at the clock, the meeting of Jounin mentors was about to begin. In a week there will be an exam for Chunin, and we must show that Konoha is the strongest village. On the way to the residence I met Sai. I don't like him lately, he has become too emotional. On the way we came across a Jinchuriki. Naruto, meet Danzo-sama, my guardian. Yes, I had already begun to forget that Sai is officially under my care. I wonder, Uzumaki Naruto, what have you become? I examine him carefully. He says something, no, what an impudent fellow, asking me for training. Although, he speaks politely to me, let's try to gain his trust, the weapon should serve for the good of the village. Shimura Danzo is finished. Uzumaki Naruto beginning. After saying goodbye to Danzo, we hurried to meet Kano. We didn't have much time, Hayashi was talking to some guy near a shinobi goods store. Kano, hurry up there. Sai shouted, and after waiting for Hayashi to come, we hurried to our destination. It was a stunning place, next to the Nara clan's territory. A beautiful forest area, Shikamaru and Kano were playing shogi, and Sai and I were drawing. If only we were allowed to enter the forest where the deer roam. Far away in the mountains. By the red foliage of the maples. A deer steps. I heard his scream. Autumn is coming so sadly. How good, there was still an hour left before the meeting, the finished canvas was drying on the sidelines, and we were lying on the soft green grass and looking at the sky. White fluffy clouds were slowly floating on the azure surface. A light breeze rustled the treetops. Asuma-sensei arrived soon, the meeting was already over, we could start training. A few minutes later, Ino and Chuji came. Team 10 was practicing teamwork on the training ground. Kano had gone to train with Nai-san, and Sai and I were listening to Sarutobi's explanations. We're going to the Chunin exam. I'm so happy, we'll definitely pass it. We've been training hard all week. Almost all the money I saved up for missions had to be spent on paying for Team 10's restaurant. Well, Chuji is a glutton. But the biggest surprise was that Danzo-sama taught us several techniques. Sai was completely shocked. When I told Kakashi about it at lunch, he choked, yeah. I didn't need to kill Nai-san. The morning before the exam, Nai-san didn't prepare anything, the whole team decided to sit in Ichiraku. I didn't eat much, so as not to feel bad. And so we approached the academy building. We need to go to room 301, several teams were standing on the second floor, we silently went upstairs. There were already several teams in the right room, the genin began to gather in the room. And so, 10 minutes later the exam began. Good afternoon. I am Marino Ibiki, the examiner of the first selection round of this exam. The man who entered looked around the room with a searching gaze, and some people shuddered under his gaze. Let's begin the first test of the exam. Now you will all hand in your applications here in order. In return, each of you will receive a number with your place in the audience. Then we will hand out your options. Yes, a test, as I thought. While everyone was taking their seats, Ibiki was explaining the rules of the exam. Even I, not such a genius as some, figured it out. This is an exam on searching for and obtaining information, that is, on cheating. I looked at Sai and Kano, it seemed they understood. How good it is that Nakamura and I are on the same team, his ink techniques are something. A small, unnoticeable fly lands on my sheet and spreads into a ligature of words and symbols. I looked at Kano, he was also delighted. Only the 10th question remains. So, the time has come. But before I announce the 10th question, will I remain a genin forever, or try to pass the exam? Yes, the atmosphere in the office is something else, psychological pressure in its purest form. Negative emotions filled the room, my head was squeezed as if in a vice. Well? Have you decided everything? I looked towards Kano, his hand was shaking. The negativity in the office was off the charts. Sai,